All right, welcome back, everyone. We are going to dive into our next session, which is a fabulous talk with CMU professor and celebrity math Olympiad coach, Po-Shen Loh. And here to introduce our session and moderate the Q&A, please welcome Baiju Rao, who is the founder and CEO of Amruta, Inc. Baiju?
Good afternoon, everyone. We know AI is everywhere. And we also know that it's helping us improve in many, many ways. But it's also introducing new problems, right? And in some cases, these problems are existential dangers. So that means we have to outsmart AI. And in my view, there is no better person than Professor Po to teach us outsmarting AI. He's a math professor at Carnegie Mellon University. He's also an entrepreneur. And he is the immediate past US Math Olympiad coach. In his 10-year tenure, US high schoolers have won Math Olympiad 4 times out of 10 years. And that's a commendable achievement. Please welcome Po-Shen Loh.
Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here and to talk to all of you. Actually, I was thinking to myself, I'm sorry I cannot say I'm an IIT alum. But my brother-in-law is IIT Bombay 2010. Right. So I have a little bit of connection to this community. Actually, I should say I travel around all over the world giving talks about mathematics, about education, and so on. And in fact, actually, I went to India before I went to China giving all of these talks. That's actually because I was born in the United States and my parents are from Singapore. So from a language perspective, since I grew up speaking mostly English at home, India was the first place that I went to. But I mentioned that because I actually travel around quite a lot giving all of these talks. And I say that so you know these ideas that I give you are gathered from having gone to a couple of different places. Actually, I spent my winter break running all around. Where is that? Oh, that's right here. Yeah, I spent my winter break running around. Not the White House, but here we go. Is it possible to put the screen to be full? Well, I guess this will be just fine. So I spent my winter break going to a few places. There we go. Right, I started on December 21st in Seoul, and I just finished yesterday after 42. That was throughout China and Hong Kong. Yeah, thank you, thank you. And actually, the other thing you just saw on the screen was what I did last summer. I'll just do this. This was last summer. This is what happens when you're the coach of the United States team. United States is kind of large, so run all around. Yeah, thank you, thank you. But whenever I do these things, actually, I'm looking to see what the reaction is of the audience on the different points that I start to talk about. And that also lets me understand how different parts of the country, different parts of the world are reacting with respect to this AI. And what I found out is that, actually, I think people aren't as worried as they should be for the kids. So I'm giving this talk actually from the point of view of a parent, in fact, because I've seen a bunch of talks about what to do from business, but I'm guessing maybe some of you have kids. I'm actually curious, how many people here have kids? Okay, there's a bunch of you. So I'm speaking to fellow parents. We actually have kids too. We have 3 kids. Our kids are 9 years old, 15 years old, and 17 years old. So our 17-year-old actually just finished applying to college. And so, well, she'll have to decide what to do with her life afterwards. But I want to make this talk. This talk is about what are we going to do about the next generation. And the good news is some of the next generation sitting in the front row too. So I guess you can hear what to do yourselves, about yourselves, while other people hear what we can do as parents. With that, I want to dive into the ChatGPT itself, just so that we have a concrete reference frame to start from when we're talking about outsmarting AI. So over here, I have pulled up ChatGPT. I prefer to give interactive talks, as you can see by now. I'm not doing a PowerPoint. And so this lets me say, hey, let's go quiz ChatGPT on some math. Can anyone give me a high school math topic? Any high school math topic. There's no wrong answer. Yes, please. Calculus. Anything in specific in the calculus? Anything specific? Any area? Integrals. Let's do it. I got one. Let's try this. How's this? Integrate sine x from -2 to 2. Let me zoom in a bit so maybe it's a bit more visible. There we go. Everyone see that? Integrate sine x from -2 to 2. Let's see what happens. I'm actually curious. This is like a reality show. Oh, analyzing. What's that? If you haven't used ChatGPT in a while, the analyzing, well, gave an answer, but what did it do? It wrote a Python program. So the way it integrated sine x from -2 to 2 was just simply to write a Python program. Okay, so I've learned a few things. I actually didn't myself know you could do this that easily in Python. I also have learned that ChatGPT thinks that Python is the most efficient way to do this question. No Python, that's cheating. Let's try again. Okay, let's try it again. Integral of sine x over an interval, area under the curve. Okay. Okay, it repeats every 2 pi. It's less than a full period. Wait, what the heck is going on here? Wait. This is actually not what I expected it to do. Okay. I'm actually a little bit floored. I thought it would do it the normal way. What's the normal way? You take the antiderivative. You plug it in twice. What did it do? It did the smart way. It used symmetry. Actually, when I wrote the question into this, I gave it that question because I knew there was a symmetry thing, but I did not expect that ChatGPT would first use Python and then directly jump to symmetry. Honestly, I did not ever expect to see something like this in my lifetime. And just so you know, this wasn't staged. I didn't know her beforehand. I just myself suddenly thought of this, and to be honest, I didn't expect that to pop out right away. But I think the next immediate question is, what are we supposed to do in education now? Because actually, if you go and type in any question from the standards that you learn in any country's school, math, all the way through high school, ChatGPT version 4, bam, destroys it. That's actually why yesterday, on my way back from Hong Kong, I was actually at OpenAI. Unfortunately, I can't tell you any more about that because I had to sign an NDA as soon as I went in the door. But this is what I'm following quite closely because of the fact that if everything that we're teaching our kids can be done by the generative AI, what are we teaching our kids? Actually, well, there's some more. The good news is, well, if you saw from the interaction we just had, actually everyone needs to learn how to read and think. We heard critical thinking a couple of times in these earlier talks. If you saw what we just did here, we had to read what it said and think about it. So in fact, the way I usually explain it is that what all of us need to know now is not how to do problems, but how to grade the homework. Okay? Because if the only thing you know is how to do the problem, you're dead. ChatGPT will do it all better than you. If you know how to grade the homework, now suddenly you are super powerful because you go and ask ChatGPT all kinds of questions about technical things that you're not specialist in, and it's going to give you the answers, and you can actually read, and you can think about it and decide if it makes sense. So that's actually the skill everyone needs to learn, how to do this reading and thinking and being able to have logic. How do you teach that? Let me tell you how I usually teach my class. I actually teach at Carnegie Mellon University. I also coach students, younger students. But the way I teach every class is I just go into the room with a piece of chalk, and I write on the board, here's the question for today, but I forgot how to do it. I need your help. And the students brainstorm amongst themselves out loud, suggesting little bits of ideas, and together, they figure out how to solve the problem, even though nobody knew how to do it before. My class teaches you how to think about something you never saw before, brainstorm with other people, listening to their ideas, and solve it. Actually, that's what our next generation needs to learn how to do. Deep question is how to scale that up. We'll talk about that too. Okay, so now what we just saw is what kind of raw skill a person needs. And then the natural next question people ask is, well, what kind of jobs are the best? You know, what should you major in college? What kind of jobs would be safe? And actually, my answer is, I think that a lot of the jobs people wanted are going to be in danger. Because actually, a lot of young people, unfortunately, have the goal of trying to just do well in school, get into a famous university, and then afterwards get a great job that they don't have to work super hard, but they can earn lots of money. Okay, that's what a lot of people's goals are. Let me tell you, after going on that tour through San Francisco and Silicon Valley, it appears that those jobs are the direct target of AI startups. If there's a ton of money that can be earned for something that's not that hard to do after you've learned, well then why not train the model, access the huge pot of money, and run? That's why there's a lot of startups right now in Silicon Valley running in the domains of healthcare, running in the domains of legal profession, lawyers, and so on. They're just going for all of those. So the advice I tell all young people is, if you actually love helping to cure sick people, be a doctor. If you wanted to make a ton of money and therefore be a doctor, be careful, because after you finish your medical school, pay all the bills, what if there isn't as much money to be earned anymore because the AI startups have gotten there first? All right? So the thing I'm saying is, unfortunately, just run and get the easy thing. That's not going to work anymore. Actually, let me tell you what I tell my own kids. And the reason is because the advice I give everyone nowadays is that instead of just thinking of how to extract as much value from the world as you can, the successful model, I think, in the future, is if everyone learns how to create as much value as you can. This is a different mentality. Instead of saying, let me game the system and do the shortcuts to get the biggest reward for the least effort. Nope. Let's instead try to figure out how to generate value. If you generate value, you're going to get some. Okay? This is a different mentality, and it's necessary when the rules of the game change quickly. Because if you optimize to play a game and the rules change, sorry, your shortcuts don't work. Right? So that's why we need to work on how to create value. So what I've told my own kids for ages, even before Gen AI, was I actually am not going to judge you based on what college you get into. I'm not going to judge you based on how much money you earn or what job you get. But I am going to be very concerned about the values. As far as I'm concerned, the two things I care the most about are that you got the two values from our family. And the first one is helping other people is how you become happy, and helping more people makes you more happy. That's a direction. The second one is hard work intrinsically is fun. If you found something very meaningful to do, and you put a ton of work into it, you'll get a great feeling at the end of the day that you won't get any other way. These two are more important than just trying to get the achievements. Actually, I take this very seriously. If I ever see them doing something with other people that I think is not nice to the other people, I say, hey, if you're going to do that kind of stuff to other people, you should stop learning math, because people like that should be as stupid as possible. I say this to my own kids. I've said this multiple times before. And we actually stop math, start thinking about why we're doing what we're doing. You know what? The reason I care so much about this is because, as I mentioned, I was the national coach of the US team. I did 10 years. It's a 10-year term. I met lots of people who are really, really smart. And now today, if you give me the choice of who to teach, I'm actually not interested in teaching someone just because they're smart. We're in a new era where a very smart person who has no ethical compass is extremely dangerous. Okay? So that's why that's the guidance that I gave my kids. Yeah. And actually, I also tell I don't need to tell my kids this. It's actually also true. If you take those two values very seriously, you'll actually also work hard. You'll also study hard. Because if you want to go and help people, and you care about helping more people, suddenly you need skills. Right? If you want to help one person, easy. If you want to help 100 people, 1,000 people, now you need skills, maybe technical skills. Maybe that's why you need math. If you want to help 1 million people, now you need leadership skills. You need to have reputation. Maybe that's why if you go to a famous university, that's useful, because then that's a tool to help you gain your objective. Right? But the point is that the direction needs to be straight. And actually, when I work with any kids, I'm always thinking, is the direction straight? Let's see if we can put that out. I'll also say, actually, if you are trying to get into college, I'll give you a tip. That's actually very useful. I'll just share a little thing I saw about last week. And it's back to this concept of like, what are you trying to do? Are you just trying to get things, or are you trying to create value? So I work with a lot of high school students. And actually, I write a lot of college recommendations too. If you didn't know this, this is what MIT asks all the teachers to write. So of course, we write a letter, but MIT also asks us to answer a survey about every student who applies. Don't worry, there's no confidential information on this. This is a screenshot with the person's name removed. But if you can read the screen, which is a little bit difficult, there's only one line which is asking for academics. It's the second from bottom, academic achievement. Of course, there's an entire letter of recommendation about academics too. But you can see they're looking for things like how well do you interact with other students, interact with teachers, working well with independently on a team, and of course, all these other things too, like warmth of personality. I'm pointing all of this stuff out because these are things where AI isn't really doing those things. You know, this talk was about outsmarting AI. What's a person supposed to do? Well, in a world where an AI is quite possibly able to solve black and white questions that you give to it, maybe we should actually be trying to help our students figure out how to really intrinsically like helping other people, which helps them find human pain points, solve the human pain points, generate value, and then they'll be fine. Actually, I've been thinking a lot about this because I help to coach students. So what in the world am I supposed to build? More people who know how to do more math problems? Well, not really. However, I think everyone does need to learn how to think mathematically, think logically, great, and then combine that together with the human side, emotional intelligence. And then the question, of course, is how to scale all of this. I actually see this as extremely urgent because, unfortunately, the speed of innovation of AI is actually making it so that a lot of people's skills will be obsolete very, very quickly. And now the question is, how do you scale these things? So now let me tell you what I'm actually doing, because I don't only go around talking about problems, I actually also make solutions. But it took me many years to figure out how to actually solve people's pain points instead of just doing math problems. So that was my own experience. I'll tell you what I do now. And I'll also tie this all together with the themes of this talk. So at this point, we're moving into, okay, how could we actually try to grab this problem, bull by the horns, figure out a way to teach lots of people how to think, and also how to have this emotional intelligence at the same time, and ideally, some human values, because we need to propagate human values to the next generation, or else we're all dead. Okay? So now, the place that we want to intervene is middle school students. Middle school students are at the age where they're still able to think, you know, what might I do, okay? And they're not running around like crazy, like elementary school kids, and they're not jaded like high school kids, all right? So middle school students, that's where we gotta go. But there's a problem. I don't know how many of you here are middle school teachers. I'm guessing the answer is relatively small fraction. The problem is that there's a shortage of people to deliver all of this education and all of this. And I know that Sal Khan has been working on ways to use AI to do that. I actually work on human to human. And the reason I work on human to human is because if the student is like fairly on the side that they could really push themselves beyond the curriculum, well, actually then I want to have a human to guide that human and pass on inspiration. Because actually if I think, what do I do well? Everything I do well is because I saw another human who did that well, and I said, I want to be like you. And I don't think anyone is going to look at GPT and say, man, when I grow up, I want to be GPT. You see what I mean? So we gotta propagate through humans, is how I feel. This is human inspiration. Okay, and the problem was not enough humans. I actually came up with a solution. The solution came from solving multiple pain points at the same time. So one pain point was these middle school kids. And then I realized there's another pain point I'm familiar with because I work with so many high school students. So I know there's tons of high school students who are really good at math, and they're still worried about something, getting into college. Because if you're really good at math and go to Thomas Jefferson High School, it's still not enough. You're not automatically going to get into all the top colleges. What else do you need? Community service, communication, leadership, all this other stuff. That's how American universities work. It's not one test, right? So actually, to put simply, you need to have IQ and EQ, emotional quotient, emotional intelligence. And I saw a big pain point. There were plenty of people who were really good at math, but how to build the other side. So I started a program for high school students. We find people in high school who are really good at math, and then I hire professional comedians and actors to teach them how to be interesting. I'm able to do this because it turns out that the university, thank you. It's all about letting the emotion out, right? We want to have IQ, EQ. E is very important too. So how come I can do this? It's because the university I work at, Carnegie Mellon University, is world famous for drama. That's right, not only computer science. Not only are we always tied for #1 in computer science, Our drama program, like 5 years ago, was ranked #2 in the entire USA. If you want to know why Carnegie Mellon might have anything to do with performing arts, just remember, there's a building in New York City called Carnegie Hall, same Carnegie. Actually, our alumni, they become Broadway stars, Hollywood stars. They win Academy Awards. They win Tony Awards. That's the Broadway version of the Academy Awards. If you've heard of Hamilton, a bunch of our alumni were in that too. So basically, we have this super strong performing arts department. So I walked over to ask them. I said, you know what? I've got this crazy idea. I want to help math people like me learn how to be like you guys. Do you know any actors who are looking for part-time paid jobs? And the person's response was, we know a lot of actors looking for part-time paid jobs. So at this point, I want to be careful. I don't actually want to laugh at them because at this point, I've worked with enough of them. They are so good. The talent is real. It's just that the economics are not in their favor. I mean, I interview computer science, software engineers, and I also interview Broadway, actor-type people. The actors are really good at interviews. They're really interesting. Okay, so I knew I could do this. At scale. That's the important thing. I'm interested in scale. I'm not interested in small batch. I'm interested in scale. There's 100,000 actors, by the way. So there's a very high potential to scale this thing in a win-win situation. Actually, when I was talking to that person from drama, she said, it's kind of strange. Our university is super good at technology and super good at drama, but you're the first guy I've ever seen come over from there to talk to us. The reason I was willing to do, thank you. So the reason I was willing to do that is because I myself also took acting classes before. Let me tell you why. It's because I was trying to get more people interested in math as the national coach of the US math team about 6 years ago. And so I actually convinced a major philanthropic foundation to support me to be able to work with a professional public relations firm to make a campaign, to make videos, to get people interested in math. Actually, that philanthropic foundation is one of the biggest backers of Khan Academy. So they're a very serious philanthropic foundation. And so they got me a professional PR agency, and I started talking to them. But the idea they had was, let's make some videos with influencers. So me with influencers, okay? And then they said, we've got only one problem, and the problem is you. You don't know how to talk to normal people. You only know how to talk to math people. You have to take improvisational comedy classes. Okay. So they even suggested one. They said, work with these guys. We know these guys. They're good. It was an executive coaching company. And they proposed like 20 hours of work to teach me, and the fee would be $20,000. Whew. I said, that's kind of expensive. I don't know anything about acting. That's like a waste of money at that point. So I searched Google. Are there any improv comedy classes in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I live? I found 3 theaters. They were all offering them for $15 an hour each. I registered for all of them. So I spent an entire year, 3 hours a week, improv comedy classes. It changed my life. Strong advice to everyone, take improv comedy classes. You don't have to be a kid. I was 35. Take the classes. Okay. Now, yeah, thank you. Let me tell you why I had very strong motivation to take them. First of all, we got the donation, so I got to fulfill it. But second of all, they told me of these influencers you need to make a video with. One of the influencers is a cheerleading squad. Whoa. I went to high school in America. I know what a cheerleading squad is. The only problem is I have no experience talking to them because I just didn't hang out with the cheerleaders. Actually, it's because the cheerleaders just didn't hang out with me. So let me show you what happened. So a year later, okay, so I took all these like training. A year later, we made this.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, hit 8. 1 hit 2, 3 hit 4, 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, out.
I'm Po-Shen Loh. I'm a math professor, and I travel the world finding math in unexpected places.
1, 2. I'm Robert Sienna. I've transitioned from an athlete to a coach about 4 years ago.
Hey, good to see you again. Great.
Oh my gosh, I want you to meet my friend Chelsea.
Hi, I'm Po. Nice to meet you.
I'm super excited to bring him in because his background is math, and we use a lot of math in cheerleading, but we don't really think about it.
We have never had a math professor come here and work out with the teams.
Ah, I think you get the idea. So she said, we have never had a math professor come here and work out with the teams. That was fun. Actually, if you had gone to me in high school and told that boy, in 20 years, you're going to record a video with a cheerleading squad that you have literally never met in your life, I would have said, what are you dreaming? I'm a math team guy. Okay? So the thing can work. All right. So then let's put the whole thing together, right? So I said, okay, I can get all these math people to take these acting classes. It's going to work. We have enough people to supply them at scale. These are all humans. But they need to practice. You know, if you want to learn how to talk, you cannot just watch these actors. You got to actually talk. So what do you think people who love math in high school, what do you think is the easiest thing for them to talk about? Math. So the way they practice is by live streaming the best live video math classes ever made over to the middle schoolers. This is called 3 birds with 1 stone. I have 3 parts. Every part wins. The middle schoolers, they suddenly get access to very smart, very well-spoken and interesting people to teach them math in this like interactive way where they have to say their own ideas, like how I teach, right? So they get what they need. The high schoolers, well, they suddenly get to complement the IQ with the communication skill. Actually, it also works. Out of the high school students in our program who graduated last year, more than half of them are now studying at MIT, Harvard, and Princeton. 3 schools occupy more than 50%. So that seems to be working. And the actors, we provide jobs. We support the performing arts world. Everyone wins. I want to show you what this whole thing looks like when this all put together, because any of you who are entrepreneurs know idea is cheap, execution is everything, okay? So it actually took me 8 years to come up with this, 2 more years to build it out. It's at year 10 now. And so what I'm going to show you is a 1-minute video clip of what this looks like, because it's an online teaching experience. And we just heard somebody ask Sal Khan about the horrible quality of online teaching, right? So I wanted to do online because we want to reach this everywhere. So I have to solve that problem. And so as a mathematician who solves problems, I said, what's the fundamental problem with online? Is it that kids are not able to focus on a screen? No. Kids love screens. They can be sucked into the screen forever. And then I said, okay, well, what are they watching? They're not watching Zoom. I don't know any person in the whole world who watches their Zoom meeting with full concentration for the entire hour. Zoom was designed for boring corporate meetings. Sorry if you run a business. Okay, anyway. But so I said, what do kids actually watch? They watch YouTube Live. They watch Instagram Live. They watch Twitch. They watch all these other things. What if we take our performing arts expertise, pull that all in, and change the way that an online math class looks? So I'm going to show you what this looks like. You'll see 2 people on screen. They are both high schoolers and they're both teaching. Our paradigm is 2 people are teaching every class. This is a recording of a live stream. Everything we run is live. And this is what we turned online math class into.
All right, so we have our first daily challenge question here. Now, before we jump into it, I'd like to establish one small class norm, which is when you have a question, first of all, if you have a question, put it in chat. We would like to hear all of your questions, and we will definitely address any questions you have. But also, if someone sends in a question that you had, you can put a QQ in chat to indicate that you had the same question, a common question. That way, we know that you had the same question, and you can support your classmates in having questions about the problem.
I saw a lot of people have great responses and great answers. However, we really want to see your solutions so that we can start building upon your ideas. And 2 solutions that I already see are from Grace and Isha. So thank you guys really much for putting those in.
All right, so we have our first
that.
daily challenge
Apparently,
question here.
it plays on loop.
Now, before we jump into it, I'd like to establish...
We turned an online math class into a TV show. Actually, I would say we turned it into a Twitch stream, if you know what that means. But it's not on Twitch, but we actually run it all through Zoom. We just wrote our own software and built our own system to make a Zoom experience look like that. We stole all the ideas from Instagram live streams, gamer streams, you name it, and it made that. You might have noticed a few things in there. The first thing is you might have noticed that there was this chat running up the screen. That one is what we took from Twitch and all of the live streaming things. That's because we saw earlier a slide about one-on-one makes more effective gathering of knowledge. I agree with that. But what I've found is one on many makes energy. And what I found out is if someone really wants to learn, then they learn. How do you get them to learn? Crowd power. If you've ever watched a large-scale stream, if the stream has more people, it's more fun. I don't know if anyone has noticed this before. If you watch a live stream with 5 people, everyone leaves because it's dead. On the other hand, there's this weird counterintuitive thing that the more people, the better. Of course, we cap it at like 25, 30 people. But what we found out was that if you put that in with this chat, you get an almost quadratic nature of communication going on, and kids suck in. Something else you might have noticed, the 2 people on screen, they're smiling. We actually figured out a way to go and make it so that there's the positive emotion coming out through, and that's because we did something that no one's ever done before in the history of education. In every single classroom, we have a professional actor. That person has one job: make sure it's interesting. The person doesn't teach math. They don't have to. We already taught the high schoolers how to teach math. But their job is to watch the high schoolers talk and to give real-time feedback on the smile, on the tone of voice, on the usage of volume, hand gestures, everything. The reason we can do this is because we use the internet for benefit. The actor's camera is off, the microphone's off, so the people taking the class have no idea that he or she is there. Instead, there's a parallel video call where the actor and the high schoolers can also see each other. The high school students and the actor are in 2 calls at the same time. In the second call, all of the feedback from the actor goes straight to the high school students. So the actor is watching and diagnosing and guiding the high school student to just be more interesting, telling them all kinds of things that their parents have been telling them for the last 10 years. Well, okay, and more too. But the thing is, when it comes from a Broadway-level actor, everyone listens. So, okay, so we put this all together. And you see, you cannot do this in person. We made something very strange. We made online classes that are with more student participation than offline classes. This was thought to be impossible before. We know because we have all the stats of the people talking in our classes. People are actually responding. And that's because we've made it so that there's this feedback loop going on. And in real life, you could not have the math teacher teaching you math standing here and the Broadway-level actor watching and giving feedback. Who's going to watch the math person? Does that make sense? I like to do things where you do something where you couldn't do it before. That's what we did here. The net result is we've done something new for the high schooler. The high schooler doesn't only get community service out of this. This is intrinsically valuable for the high schooler. Because now if the high schooler does 1 hour of teaching, that equals 1 hour of access to a Broadway-level acting coach. 1 for 1. And if you want to get that Broadway-level acting coach, you got to talk about something anyway. And the easiest thing to talk about is math. You see what I mean? From the high schooler perspective, it's all win. Actually, by the way, the high schooler also doesn't pay anything. They get paid. The way this all funds is because the class I just showed you, that's not free. The middle school families pay, but many of you know about after-school math classes anyway. We just made better ones at a cost that's actually even lower. Anyway, but that lets us run everything. So then suddenly we can run everything because that supports the other 2 parties. So then suddenly from the high school perspective, it's a win in every direction. And that puts me in a strange situation in education. I have too many people wanting to be teachers. Let me show you what that looks like. So once you have too many people asking to be teachers, then the people who are teaching look like this. Let me just show you. This is the list of everyone who teaches. Everyone who has taught on this platform. Just to talk through what this means. Srinivas, this means USAJMO qualifier, one of the top 250 in the country. If you see MOP, that's one of the top 60 in the country. National Math Counts for a state means one of the top 4 in the state. We're international, so this is a Romanian, very strong Romanian contest. Elena was on screen, you just saw her. Now you see she's not only good at smiling and talking, she's a genius. This is one of the top 60 in the country. And the list goes on and on. Actually, this is the largest scale, super high density of extraordinary people who have gotten involved in coaching mathematics to middle school students because it's a giant win-win. And that's where the last part comes in. Once I found myself with this power that all these people seem to want to join this program, well, we get to choose who comes in. And when people apply to come in, actually, we don't only evaluate their math skill. We actually check through interviews whether they really like helping other people. And we only take the ones who actually want to help other people. And this helps to propagate. This creates a virtuous cycle. Because then suddenly the high schoolers we have with this are then influencing the middle schoolers who they're teaching. This class doesn't only teach math. It also teaches people how to see an example. It lets people see an example of someone who's brilliant, well-spoken, and also kind, which you can see through the eyes. We're building a virtuous cycle to scalably increase the number of middle school students who see them and say, I want to be like you when I grow up. 4 years later, boop, they're in the high school, influencing more middle school, and it goes around and around. The scalability of this is, we hope to at some point reach 1% of US high school students in it, teaching 10% of US middle school students. That's only US. You can imagine this all over the world. It's 1%, 10%. That's how all the numbers work. And there are enough actors out there to do this. So in a nutshell, what I just talked about is we're going to have some problems. I'm showing you one solution. I hope other people make other solutions too. But I hope that no matter what, every solution focuses on actually trying to make people with values as well. Thank you. As the Q&A is coming, I actually just realized I should leave this thing on the screen. If you like any of the stuff you just saw, I'll leave this here, which is that I actually run around giving these talks all over the country. So I put a thing on the screen, if they can put it there. I go all over the country giving talks. I'll be doing another tour in the summer. If you want to know when I come to your city, just like register, put your contact into the tour thing. But I do run I'll probably give like another 100 talks this summer. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. That was amazing, right? So, audience, you have access to application. Please go ahead and send your questions. I do have some pre-prepared questions, which I'm going to start with. But if you have any questions, just push them through the app, and I will be taking them here, right? So, quick question, just curiosity, right? How long does it take a student to transform from, pre-drama training to post-drama training? How do you measure it?
Well, what I'd say is that it depends. The person actually ideally already has some level of social skills. That will help a lot, okay? But then to help them become super polished, what we see is we do like about 10 hours of improv comedy class training for them. And then as they teach, every single hour they're getting this feedback, right? So we will notice that in about 30 hours, there's something quite different about the person. That's like teaching an entire class. I think what we also found out is that if you just have a community of math people all taking drama, it makes taking drama cool, not cool, but it makes it understandable and normal. And that actually is enough. Actually, I'll say one more thing about the people taking the drama classes. We have people teaching this improv comedy to the high schoolers. And at first they asked me, how much background should we expect these high schoolers have in performing arts? I said, please start with 0. And then 3 weeks later, they told me, about a few weeks later, they told me, your math people are the fastest learning people we have ever met. Because if you have a math person committed to the idea of learning how to communicate with professional coaching, it's pretty good.
Cool, thank you. And there is one question which I think the question is, can the experiment with high and middle school students and actors be used to make corporate sales reps more interesting?
Actually, I got this idea because when I was taking the improv comedy classes, the teacher of the class who works at a theater joked and said, we don't actually like teaching you guys these classes, but we got to do it so we can pay for the theater because we don't earn enough from the ticket sales at night. And he said, usually we run corporate improv comedy coaching sessions. So I'll say you can support your local actors by hiring them. They're awesome.
Awesome, thank you. And next question is your platform for multimodal teaching for kids? Can other middle school and high school teachers make use of it for their classes?
The thing about teaching online with this kind of like the text on the screen, yes, there's a website called zoom.poshenloh.com where the entire software kit is actually there with instructions. We have not updated the instructions since the end of 2021, but you guys seem technical. You can probably figure it out. I will say the hardest part is not the technology, it's the humans. So even if the technology is there, for someone to learn how to do it properly, they need to learn a lot of empathy, a lot of communication skill. So yeah, you can use it, zoom.poshenloh.com, it's free. But if you want to do it properly, you need to go and get those actors.
Awesome, awesome. So you talked a lot about value, right? So obviously, this was a great example. What are the other ways the today's software engineers can create that value? Have you thought of extending this to other domains, etc.?
Do you mean like just creating value for society? Is that what you mean?
I'm
Do you
sorry?
mean do you mean creating value for society?
Yes, using AI.
Using AI or other things to create value. So the thing is, I don't want to tell you how to create value because I think that would bias things to just do what I like to do. What we're trying to do with this system is just to strongly incentivize people to care about helping other people, and helping more people is more fun, and working hard. There's no Republican, Democrat, one country, other country. None of that stuff is inside these two principles. I think these two are pretty universal. But the problem is a lot of kids these days don't get those two. And so, not just kids, it's like we need to pass that on to the next generation. So the way I see this is if we have more and more people who are just actively thinking, what pain do I see in this world? How do I solve it? They will solve pain points around them. They will create value. I told you my story of what I did. That came from finding out where I can find some pain and fix it.
Awesome, thanks. So final question, right? So there's a lot of regulation, global regulation, both executive branch here as well as EU Act, right? AI Act. Is that something which can help us with outsmarting AI, or is that going to make us a little bit, push it in the other direction?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the regulation is going to help because there will be some parts of the world that don't regulate, and anyone who wants to keep running will just go to the parts of the world that don't regulate. So that's why I view it as AI is going to get faster and faster. It's going to be able to solve all these various technical problems. So we just need to get lots more people who have the skills to figure out what human problems can they solve. And the way to do that is from a young age for people to build that kind of a spirit. And since I didn't see another way of mass propagating this, I said, well, I know what has worked in the history books. Let's go and try to bring these values to the middle schoolers with the high schoolers, using the fact that math is the hook. Everyone wants math. So if everyone wants math, usually in math, the only values you learn are absolute value. But we put some other values in, right? So the whole point is like, we can do that because we have such a pressure of people trying to join the high school program. So we can pick and elevate the people who we think will shine some kind of values of what it is to be a person to the next generation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you both. That was a fabulous session.